talk to me. I don't know if this is me being vulnerable. I don't know if I will provide enough value, because I'm thinking like, what value do I need to provide to this person in order for them to like be on a podcast with me? And I think a lot of my clients, a lot of the people around me can relate. Like, oh, I'm not sure about group classes. Like, how can I add to the value of the group if I'm like lagging
Yeah.
behind? Like, what if, I'm this person that's not good enough? Like, oh, like what if we try this nutritional program I'm investing in and it's not going to be good enough? Like, I think that's a common thing, and I'm openly admitting like I had that fear. Like, well, what value do I have to add? And I wonder if that's what also prevents people from taking action, because it's just like, yeah, they see all the information, they read the information, but it's like, how do I have a say in this? Like, what can I contribute? You
Yeah,
know?
I that is a big reason why people don't take action, and I do think
Mm.
that the same way sometimes. I think I'm not good enough to do that. Why should this person listen to me? Like, who am I? But that's just it's BS. A
Yeah.
great way to be confident. By the way, when you're confident and you're speaking, you literally sound different in your tone.
Yeah.
So your mouth actually produces more saliva, and it makes you more. You sound different when you're speaking confidently.
Mm.
How do you speak confidently? How do you get more confidence? That's the question that every guy wants to know. You become an expert on a subject, so you read.
Mm.
So you want to be
Yeah.
confident. Read all about this subject. You read so much about it that nobody could argue with you because you're just it's like a superpower. You could
Yeah.
spill out fact after fact after fact, and that's just confidence right there, my friend. And the way to do it is just read, become a pro, become an expert on a specific topic. If you want to talk to women, understand female psychology. I'm not talking about these pickup artists. I'm not talking about these dating guys. I'm talking about understanding female psychology. Read books about female hormones, female psychology. Become an expert. Then, when you start talking to women, you're gonna understand how they feel, what they're thinking, and that goes with anything. Become an expert by reading. That's gonna give you confidence, and that's gonna eliminate your doubt. That's gonna eliminate that fear that you have to take action. Just become smarter.
Mm. It's like, I think when people think about that too. Even I have been kind of guilty. I don't know if I can say guilty. I can attest to this. Is when I think about that concept of exposing myself to these ideas so that I can expand my consciousness, and so I can accept new things for what's in my reality. It again, in a split second, when I thought about that thought, it was so like out of reach. It's like, what is that? And I started thinking about that more as you were speaking, and I almost want to say like all these little things that are calling out to you. And in the past, if you watch 300, the movie with the Spartans and they're fighting, they have a very powerful line. It's like, Spartans, what is your vocation? What is your vocation? And we don't use the word vocation that much. Like, oh, what do you do? You're like, well, I do a lot of things. Like, what does that mean? But when you say what is your vocation, it's like, what is calling to you? Like, and it's calling to you not from like something spiritual or airy. It's like something's happening in your body. Your heart's beating fast, and you feel this warm sensation in your stomach, and your head feels very light. These are all physiological patterns that happen whenever you get excited or whenever you feel happy or whatever it is. Something happens in you. Like when a girl kisses you, you're like, oh yeah, I feel freaking warm inside, and my penis stands up. Like it's like a cool thing, right?
Penis
So
stands out. That's a cool thing.
yeah, and I wonder is like, what vocation or like little like inklings or little things that are calling to you and making you have these feelings. What are those things? And listen to them, and listen to them completely, and listen to them like wholeheartedly, and actually like go there, like go and visualize what it would be like to experience that thing, and then take some little action, like you were saying, like some small, like almost to you it may seem like a mundane action, but in essence it's a big step for your body. Your body's like, oh, this is new connection, new pathway, boom, this is new connection, new pathway. And over time, this vocation becomes something that's like real. It's like, holy crap! Like this came from just feelings in my body, like something that was just running through me. And that was something I couldn't even like grasp a second ago. It was so out in the air. It was like airy and woo woo, but now it's like in me. Like, what do you think
That's an
about that?
amazing feeling, by the way, when you look back at the person you were and look back at what you accomplished, and you're like, wow, I would have thought I would have been able to do that. That's one of the best feelings in the world. And even when
Yeah.
you get nervous about things, I like to accept that feeling of nervousness because it makes you feel alive. I mean, when
Yeah.
your heart's beating and your hands are sweaty and you're nervous, it, it doesn't feel good, but it's a feeling of aliveness, man. Like you're alive in that moment and you're thinking about that moment. And the opposite of love is indifference. So wouldn't you rather just be like about anything? I don't really care. That's not love, man. That's not passion. That's not life. You want to feel these things and just recognize it, understand what your body is doing,
Yeah.
and just go forward. Go forward. I love the way you stated
Mm.
all that stuff. I mean, it's so fascinating the way the human body works. The mind body
It
connection
really
is
is.
so fascinating.
It really, really is. And for you all that are listening, like I feel like me and Ben and I are talking about psychology so much because, in essence, to a big degree, like the information's there, like what to do when it comes to eating the right food, what to do when it comes to moving a particular way, what to do when it comes to breathing a particular way. The information is abundant. It's out there. And yeah, we can probably synthesize it in different ways compared to the other coaches, and they can synthesize it in better ways, or we can do better than them. It's vice versa. Or we can all just get together and provide the best potential service possible. But beyond that, I think the issue, the fundamental root of the issue, and you can disagree with me here, Ben, is the psychology, because that's the problem. It's like we are perceiving something in our body as fearful. Like I'm afraid. These feelings are not normal. I don't want to do this. I don't think I can. I don't think I can. I don't think I can. And then we start verbalizing it in our head over and over and over. So the reason why I feel like you and I are talking about psychology so much is because that's the root. It's not really that you don't know what to do. Because we can sit here this whole podcast and be like, yeah, eat more fat. That's important. Do this. Do that. Make it a small progressive habit. Move like this. Create more tension in your glutes, etc., etc., etc. But what is it that you're bringing to the table? What are you bringing to the barbell? What are you bringing to the kitchen? You know, like yeah,
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we could talk about it until we're blue, but until you actually take that step, it's not gonna work for you. So you have all the knowledge in the world. We have an abundance of information, like you mentioned, but until you actually do it and start walking that walk instead of talking that talk, you're not going to get results until you do it. So just do it. And it
yeah,
doesn't have to be something major. It doesn't have to be extreme. It's the law of incrementation. I mean, just small steps, incremental value, small steps. The compounding effect is what I want to say.
mm,
Just small steps. I mean, if you're someone who's entirely out of shape, you haven't worked out in years, go for a 15-minute walk today. Go for a 16-minute walk tomorrow and just build from that. It doesn't have to be something major. Just build every single day from that point. That's all it takes.
yeah, man. Well, before we sign off here, because I know we've been talking for an hour and 10 minutes, which is awesome. I'm
I
loving
feel
every
like we
minute
just
of this.
started, bro.
I know we just started, but yeah, I do want to ask you a few questions. I do this with a lot of the guests on the show. Is ask them some pretty like deep deep questions. And so one of the questions I wanted to ask you is you know, if you were to die in the next 7 years, for example, and this may sound kind of morbid at first, but hear me out. If you were to die in the next 7 years, or even the next minute, like what would you like to leave with this world, knowing that what you were going to leave would impact 7 generations from now? Like 7 generations from now, what would you want to leave? And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because the Native Americans would always talk to their tribe or talk to the people around them and always ask them that question. It's like, whatever you want to leave for 7 generations from now, that's how I'd like you to proceed in life. And so I want to ask you
Wow,
that.
that's a great question. I love it. Let's see. What I would like to leave, what I would love to leave as my legacy would be the fact that I've showed people that you could be optimal in your health, in your wealth, in your life, holistically. So you don't have to get surgery to lose weight. You don't have to be on that anti-acid drug. You don't have to take these pills. You don't have to go that route. There's always a way to do it holistically. You could eat your way into optimal health. You could eat your way to death. I want to show people the options they have. A lot of people, they get confused by their doctors. They get confused by media. They get confused by the government. And it's a sad fact, but there's a lot of money out there spent on advertisement for the sole purpose of confusing you, to brainwash you. And I don't want to sound like a communist or anything, but I want to show people that you need to dig deeper for the truth. And not one thing is going to work for everybody, but dig deeper for the truth. Find what works for you. And there's going to be an option holistically that's going to help you thrive in life. And I want to leave that legacy of showing people how to do it, how to get your six-pack abs through diet, how to get a 400-pound deadlift through diet and proper exercise, how to be successful in business through mindset, not taking these crazy drugs to help you focus, but there actually are holistic ways to do it, to gain concentration. Eat more fat, that'll keep you focused. Drink some bulletproof coffee, that'll get you on your day up right. I mean, that's the legacy I want to leave, to show people there is a way other than drugs and surgery and the regular traditional conventional medical approach.
Nice. And a last question I want to ask you is, if you were able to perceive your funeral, if you were like a spirit, like say play that idea, like you're a spirit and you have everyone congregating towards your funeral, when people talk about you, what would you want them to say?
Yeah. Imagine you could see that. That would be something. Well, there is something called the funeral test. You want to make sure when you are gone and passed that your funeral has a ton of people there. I mean, that's the funeral test. If you have like 10 people, and chances are you didn't leave a very life-adding value. I would love to have a massive amount of people at my funeral, because that showed that people added value to their life, and I would want them to say that. I would love for them to say that, Ben was somebody who added value to my life. He was someone who genuinely cared about me and listened to me, and he was a good friend, and he was a good lover, and he was a good businessman, a good business partner, someone who was just genuine and authentic, who was always looking to add value. Value. I'm so high on that word value, because I feel like the more you give, the more you get. And I try to always give people the benefit of the doubt. I always try to just give. Not to the point where I'm being taken advantage of. You got to be aware of that. But I just love to give, and I want to be known as someone who gave a lot. And I learned that from my mom. She's very unselfish. So I want to be known. I want people to say that about me. I added a lot of value to their lives.
Nice, man. And you know what? Like, again, I've only known Ben for maybe like a couple of weeks, guys, and I always felt like a powerful connection, and I always felt like I was impacted just from reading his posts and having one conversation with him on Skype. Like, we had one conversation prior to this, and we've talked maybe a handful of times via Facebook. And I keep up with a lot of his posts, and I'm just kind of like reading from afar and gleaning what he's saying and kind of processing the things that he posts. And sometimes he just posts highlighted things that he's looking at from a book, and even that is so powerful. And even though I may not have anything to say about it on the first day I see it, 3 days from now I experience something that's related to that point, and that's impact, and that's value. And I feel like you're right, man. I think value and impact is huge, and I think when we can invest that value and impact in to ourselves first, in the form of you consuming information and then putting something out into the world, then we're impacting people on such a grand scale. And I think it's so cool that you do that. I'm highly inspired by you, and I now want to go read more, and I want to like learn more. And I'm so glad you're on this podcast, man. Where can people find you?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for saying all that. The feeling is very mutual. I am inspired by you, and I'm glad we have this friendship, and I'm excited to develop this friendship even further. When I'm in Austin next in August, I'm going to definitely go to your spot. People could find me on Facebook, Ben Azadi, so that's BenAzadi. If you want to look at my Shred Fat stuff, it's shredfat.com. And if you want to send me an email, it's benazati84 at gmail.